What's going on, guys? Cody from MotorcycleMD. Welcome to part 2 of Road to Stardom for the CL350. Now we'll be diving into a time-lapse video, some information there provided as like it was last time, on tearing the motor down. A lot of work went into this thing. Some performance mods were done as far as polishing the head, opening up that kind of stuff. Did not do big bore, did not do recut the valve seats, did not do all of that stuff. The goal of this build, which I probably should have stated it from the jump, was I wanted to take the 350 motor and just do stuff that would solve maybe manufacturing issues, or there weren't many on a 350, but there were some fail spots, like the tensioner system. So I've heard pros and cons. I've seen guys race on tracks for 350s that run the stock tensioner system, have no problem whatsoever. The one thing that I will tell you guys, when it comes to any old school rebuild, you buy a 350, you buy whatever, and it's 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, there's going to be issues with the tensioner system. Bottom line, unless someone's been in there and replaced it, those rubber pieces have turned into solid hockey pucks, and they will grenade inside the motor, okay? They will come apart, they will shear from the chain wearing on them. It's a given. It's just a matter of time. It may run great. You may find a barn find, run it, and it sounds mint until you keep riding it. Okay, just pre-warning. And all that, sometimes you'll see it's like some sludge or whatever inside the motor, bottom of the motor. That's what's inside of old motors. It may be garage kept, whatever. There's going to be sludge inside the motor, especially on the old one. So that's what I wanted to do on this motor, was just to try to take the motor, put some modern parts in it, like the slipper tensioner, a different chain. I put needle bearing from Capinelli or Capillani, or however you say it. Awesome people, very helpful, where I had to get the cam shaft turned down on the ends to fit it inside of some needle bearings that go, pretty much the cam holders, right? The cam holder system on this is usually the last point to get oil. They wear out. It's metal on metal. The holders are aluminum, and I think the camshaft obviously is hardened. And oil gets inside of there, but when it doesn't, or a lack of lubrication takes place, or dirty oil, whatever the case may be, because there's no filters on these systems, those are usually the top thing to go, those cam holders. All right, so I put needle bearings inside. I wanted to try it out. Why not? Slipper tensioner, needle bearing cam holders. We opened up the head to allow for all that movement to take place. I also got the head ported from a close friend of mine, and he did a great job on it, just to kind of increase the flow as much as we can. With the stock motor, not doing much. Also did some really interesting stuff as far as shaving down weight, right? Weight off the rockers as much as I could, knife edging them. Just messing around, dorking around on it, seeing what we could do. That was the whole goal of this. So to not make this intro too long, tearing down the motor is a huge process. A lot of times you'll see that in the video I'll kind of be like talking. It's because all of this information is deep dived inside of the membership, okay? I'm planning on taking all of this and making it into just one product that someone can just grab if they wanted to go through a motor like this. Another thing that's not documented is just the painting process that I went through. You wouldn't believe the length of how many times I painted something or sanded it and didn't like it and redid it, and it was just a nightmare. You'll see that as we progress, you'll be like, oh, cool, now the motor's painted. Well, yes, now it's painted, and that was a whole different process. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. In the comments below, let me know. I'll see you guys at the end. Later. what's in there? Compression gauge. I'm gonna attach this here. And when you do compression tests, you want the throttle to be wide open. let's say you have the carbs on there still, or you're doing a fuel injected model, throttle needs to be wide open, right? And the compression has to hook up. So I obviously have wide open throttle now. All right, so this is a very ghetto way of doing it. I want to go until this needle stops rising. Is really what I'm trying to do. It's right around 50 and it's not increasing. Alright, I'm gonna stop right there. It's at around 75. I'm gonna assume the other one's the other way. This is really a lot more difficult. It's getting new rings anyways. But you can also take like a pneumatic driver or an electronic drill or impact gun and spin the motor through using the flywheel. Same exact concept. Spin it up to speed and boom, there's your compression. What I do want to show you guys is that in there. Doesn't that look appetizing? That is old gas. That sucks. One of the cam lobes is pretty, got some pitting in it. I'm gonna show you guys a close-up, of course, later. Once we get it out, we can inspect all the cam lobes. But we're gonna stop right there because what I wanna do next is get the clutch components apart, because it's a lot easier to get clutch components apart when the motor's all together. If I start taking off the cam chain, the tensioner, and the cams, everything's gone, a lot less tension is off of it. So when I want to use like impact drivers on the clutch system to get, you know, just to get bolts off, it makes it a lot more difficult. So I'm gonna do that now to take that case cover off on that side, because we gotta look at some stuff as far as the oil circulation, see how much metal is built up in there, and the centrifugal filter, that's garbage. And we'll look at the clutch as well. The clutch is probably stuck, but we have to get all that stuff apart and off the motor because I'm gonna be replacing it regardless. Exciting, man. I'm excited. So I'd say these are pretty stuck, right? So when I went to go and try to put this thing into gear, it probably just would have took it off on me, as if the clutch wasn't even pulled in, right? I would have pulled the clutch in, it would have brought this whole plate off. So here's my push rod right here. Okay, so when I pull the clutch in, it pushes on this, right? It pushes this forward. This pushes on that plate, this plate here, and it releases pressure on these clutch plates, right? So it releases the pressure, allows these to float and move and spin. As soon as I take that clutch back out, it engages. It re-engages the clutch, mashes them all together, and drives the vehicle. So, man, I could, but I can't get them apart, guys, unless I, wedge them. But that's just to show you what a stuck clutch looks like from it sitting, just simply from it sitting. It's right there, look at that. I'm just gonna drop this down. Here's the stuff that I'm not really too happy about right here. Here's my camshaft. You guys look right here. There is some pitting on the very top of that one, the very top of this one really bad, the very top of this one, that one's okay. So I'm gonna have to get a new camshaft. I'm not okay with that. That is not usable to me. There's just way, like, I can feel it. It's like rubbing your finger on sandpaper, man. One thing I did do was I removed this baffle plate, okay? It's pretty easy to do. There was just 2 Phillips head screws, top left, bottom right, I use an impact driver to get those off, and there's little aluminum heads that stick up past this that are kind of pressed on. You can get them off whatever means possible. The best thing to do would be to use a drift punch, go right down in the center of each one with a hammer, tink, 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 and use a drill bit and get as centered as possible. And you just remove the top part. It drills very easy because it's aluminum, and then boom, it pops off. That way, you can continue to drill down about that long, and then you can put all screws in it. As long as you use a nice set of Loctite liquid, red style Loctite, you can I'll probably hit up at least 3 of these, just holding it back down, but I wanted to clean up the mess that was underneath it, as you can see. It's pretty nasty. I didn't want to miss anything. So getting all this stuff cleaned up is going to be vital. Of course, I got metal shavings everywhere from drilling. But I'm just going to be cleaning up the inside of this. I have parts cleaner, and I'll be doing that. Getting all of this dirt. I'm removing all these seals, keeping track of all of these dowel pins, of where I'm putting them, grinding down with just some sandpaper or a nice wheel grinder. Getting all of these surfaces cleaned. Cleaning up the bottom of it like crazy. It's all pretty nasty. But this cylinder, we're going to be honing this out. Of course, I'm going to show you guys that and cleaning up the surfaces, getting all the gasket material off of this bad boy. It's going to be a lot of fun doing that. Sandblasting all of this, getting it all back to metal, and then going through some couple coats of paint. And I think I'm just going to go with black and leave some stuff silver. Nothing crazy. Alright guys, that was a wrap for this one. I don't want to make these extremely long. 20 minutes is a good time, I think. Most of you guys probably won't even hang out for that long. So, we got the motor apart, all down, needed a new camshaft. I ended up sending that camshaft off to Common Motor. For those of you who do not know, they will redo camshafts and rocker arms. They will resurface them, re-weld them, get them all nice and straight, and they did a fantastic job. So shout out to Common Motor for any of you guys who have 350 camshafts. I'm not sure what else they do as far as what other models, but they did mine, and they turned out phenomenal, and I'll show you guys that later in the next video. But yeah, so I had the camshaft reworked as far as the lobes go, painted the cases, got it all cleaned out, really had to make sure those cases are nice and clean, for sure, and especially when it comes to painting them. Use a lot of acetone to just kind of make sure that there's nothing on the cases, sanded down spots I didn't like, and then coated with about 3 to 4 coats of paint. Using the PJ1, I believe, the Fast Black, I think that's what it's called, engine enamel paint or whatever they label it as. I'll put a link down in the description for you guys. We'll actually probably talk about that a little bit more later. But that's it. So the crank is in, the cases are together again, transmission is in, all that good stuff. So that was huge, and we'll stop there. Next one will be progressing forward. We got a lot more stuff to talk about and look at. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment below, tell me what you think. I know I'm excited to just keep revealing this stuff to you guys as we progress forward. So if you haven't already, make sure you join the mailing list. Go to MotorcycleMD.com. There's a link in the description as well. If you are looking to deep dive into your 350 motor CL, CB, doesn't really matter. All of that's available inside the membership, as well as tons of other stuff. Okay, so be sure to check it out. So until next time, Cody from MotorcycleMD, bringing you guys quality tips and tricks for your next build or your daily rider. See you next week. Later.